Hello everyone. Today will be a special video because BetaFPV sent me their new P1 FPV system. I got the VRO4 HD goggles, the P1 air unit, and also I got a bunch of parts for making a 75mm tiny whoop. I have props, batteries, frames, canopies, motors, and a flight controller. So it's all the parts I need to build a full drone with the P1 system, and idea is to give it a go, test it, and let's see how it goes. So the part I am most excited about is definitely the headset. Because if you've seen my previous videos, I have made a couple of DIY headsets to use with OpenIPC, so this is definitely something I am very interested in. And to be honest, I have never actually used a pre-made digital goggle before. I've not used any DJI or Walksnail or HD0. So this will be my first experience with an out-of-the-box HD system. I have used BetaFPV's goggle in the past, but it was an analog goggle, the VRO2, and I've extensively modified it. I have a video about that. But yeah, I'm very excited this. So let's open it. What do we have here? It's a user manual. And here it is. Whoa. Have some 18650 cells. A battery pack. And that's it. So, these are the goggles. These are the goggles. Oh, I see. They've put the SD card slot here, which I think is a bit unusual. I see they have a navigation joystick here, which is something new. Let's try to load the batteries in. But how to open it? Okay. Seem to be 2400 milliamp hours, which seems pretty standard for these 18650 cells. What's the polarity? Okay, this is the plus. And will they power on? Where is the power switch? I need to check out the manual. Oh, I see. I see, okay, I can hear a fan inside, so I think maybe I need to press it longer. No. Huh. Maybe the cells are not charged. So it seems like the issue I had was due to not reading the manual, because what it says in the manual is short press once and long press to power on or off. And yeah, so short press, long press, oh, short press, long press, no, okay, yeah, it works, it works. So like you need to do it, oh, it beeped. So you need to do it in a very specific way, like doing a short press and then straight away doing a longer press. And it has powered on. It's showing the default home screen. So yeah, it is working. Let's put it on. Oh, it has a light here. The image quality is great. It's 1080p and it looks very sharp on this display. Very nice. I'll need to test it with a drone. So what I'll do now is I will put this on charge and let's have a look at the drone components. So let's have a look at the parts I got. I have two frames, which are the Meteor 75 Pro frames. I got two canopies, which are the Micro Canopy HD VTX. Okay, I think these are the same ones as on the Meteor 75 HD. I got the Matrix flight controller. I got these motors, 22,000 kV 1102. They look pretty nice. And I got these high capacity 1S lipos, and I am very excited to see how long the drone will be able to fly on these. Because I've only used like 300 milliamp hour lipos, 1S lipos, but that was on a 65mm tiny whoop. So I heard 75mm whoops are more efficient. We'll see. I'm very interested to see how it will go. And I also have two sets of these gray props. And of course the P1 VTX. So I think I'll have a look at the flight controller first. Oh wow, it's absolutely tiny. Wow, that's tiny. This is very small for a flight controller. Oh, and I see it also comes with some additional hardware. So this is the USB extension port. I see. Yeah, I've already seen this on my OpenIPC drone, which also uses a BetaFPV flight controller. It has a similar system where it has this kind of connector and then a converter for a USB Type-C port. So this is something BetaFPV is using quite a lot, I see. I think this is for the VTX. And we have some mounting hardware. But what I want to see is, does the VTX actually plug into here directly? We'll have to see. Oh, it doesn't want... Okay, it came out. Wow, it really is tiny. It's very small. And it has a nice and short cable, which I like. And a single antenna. And it also comes with a cable. So I guess this is the same one as what the flight controller came with. The plug is the same, but I'll need to see if the pinout is the same. Wait, so actually, if the pinout here on the flight controller and here is the same, then this would mean I'll be able to assemble the entire drone without using any soldering, because the motors also plug in here. Like, let's open the motors. Okay, I see two of them have escaped from the packaging during transport, but that's fine. The motors they look very nice. They look very nice. I really like the color. But like on here, we have these plugs. So wait, so the receiver is built in, the ESCs are built in, so I only need the VTX to connect. But if the VTX can connect with this cable, then it means I can assemble the drone without doing any soldering. That's a smart move. That's a very smart move. I like that. Although I think I will eventually replace these connectors with a direct solder connection, because this is what I prefer. But I think for now we'll try to do it like this and just see how it goes. Like, because this is evidently what BetaFPV intends for users to do. So I'll first try it with the connectors and we'll see how it goes. Okay, so I have just confirmed that the pinout matches. So yeah, it's a very nice, very nicely thought out solderless assembly option. As I said, I will eventually probably solder the motors to have less contact resistance. But for now, let's try to assemble the drone. So I am lining up this arrow here with the front of the drone, because the battery will go like this, so we want the front to be in this direction. So the drone is assembled, apart from the props, but I will install the props after I've configured the flight controller to make sure they are rotating in the right direction. So now it's time to configure the flight controller, and I guess to charge the batteries as well. Okay, it's alive, it makes sounds, so I think everything is okay. Just time to configure everything. So overall, I am very happy with the drone. It's my first 75mm tiny whoop, and compared to my 65mm analog tiny whoop, this one has much more power. Has a lot of power. If I suddenly punch out like this, it can go very fast, very quickly. Yeah, it can go very fast, but the top, like near the top of the throttle, it's where it can't sustain this power because the battery seems to be the limitation. If I try to sustain max throttle, then the battery voltage drops dramatically because of its internal resistance, and it's just not able to supply such a large current. So it seems like the motors are more powerful than what the battery can provide constantly. But I think that's good, because sometimes you're in situations where you need like this extra reserve of power to quickly do a maneuver. So that makes sense. I am very happy with the FPV system in terms of the transmission, the image quality, the range, the penetration. I think it's very good. Although I have not used, I've only used open source systems. I mean OpenIPC and Ruby FPV. I have not used any DJI or Walksnail, so I can't compare. But it's better than analog for me. It's way better than analog. Obviously the latency is a bit higher, but with the type of flying I do, I don't really feel the latency. So someone who like does very crazy FPV maneuvers would have to comment on the latency. I am not there yet with my FPV flying skills, so I can't really comment. But I mean, yeah, the system is great, the drone is great. The only thing is the goggles. My only problem really is with the physical design of the goggles, because they are very uncomfortable for me. They don't fit well to my face. I can feel my nose is aching very badly right now, and I can see the light going in from below, like on the bits down here. There are big gaps, and also this strap at the top, it's way too short. It's the same issue as with VRO2, the BetaFPV analog goggle which I had before. It also had a strap on top which was too short for me, so I replaced it. But at least the VRO2 was comfortable to wear for me. It had slight leakage here around the nose, but other than that it was fine. It didn't have any light leakages on the sides here. This goggle, ergonomics wise, for my particular face is extremely bad. So it's a really hard sell for me, because the ergonomics of goggles are really very important. I think they're very important because goggles is something you will use a lot, and it's something you always have on your face when you fly. So I feel like it's very important to make sure they are comfortable. But for me personally, these goggles are not comfortable. And if you're thinking about buying them, it would be a very good idea to try them out beforehand, or be ready for DIY modifications, because I think what I will do is I will make some DIY modifications to make them more comfortable. I think it's definitely possible to make them more comfortable, but I would need to replace this entire foam with something I cut out on my own, which won't be as aesthetic probably, but it will be necessary to make these goggles comfortable for me, because as they are now, like you can probably see here, and you can probably see here, it's just, no, it's not comfortable. So as I said, I really like this drone. I think it's a very aesthetically pleasing drone. The motors look very nice, and I mean, I know this is not the most important thing for an FPV drone, but I really like when a drone looks good, and I think this one does. The only thing is, on the canopy it has these holes for mounting these extra attachments, and I didn't mount them because I didn't want to have the additional weight and drag, and without them these holes it don't look very nice, but I think overall this is a very good looking drone. It has a lot of power. I mean, I'm used to flying my 2-inch Cinewhoop, which has a very low power to weight ratio. So this definitely has a higher power to weight ratio. It also has a better power to weight ratio than my 65mm analog Tiny Whoop. So I think, like, in terms of just flight performance, this is my favorite drone so far. It's a bit bigger than a 65mm Whoop, which is not as good for indoor flying, but for flying it outdoors, it's a very nice, safe drone to fly, because obviously, like, it can bump into you and nothing happens. The only downside is when you fly it into someone's hair, and that's painful, but that's true for all drones. Also, I have to say, I don't do very crazy maneuvers with drones, because I am not skilled enough at the moment. I tend to fly, like, do steady flights, sometimes do some flips, maybe like do high-speed passes, high-speed orbits, but I tend to fly my drones quite safe. So for someone who needs a lot of performance, you have to find someone else's opinion. But for me, it's a cool drone. It's my favorite drone at the moment. And the only downside, to be honest, is are the goggles. The goggles are the worst part of the Link, I think. Like, the FPV system that FPV made here with the Artosin chips, I think it works very well, especially with this tiny little antenna, which I know from OpenIPC testing that this is the worst antenna, and as soon as I swapped my OpenIPC drone to a Omni antenna, LHCP, it worked much better. But this one, the Link is decent even with this little antenna, so I'm very impressed with the Link. The only other thing about the goggles, like, I have one big issue with the goggles, and that is the fit, how they fit on my face. That's a big issue. I also have a couple of tiny things I would do different. So, like, for example, it's very nice that you can power the goggles from an external battery pack, which BetaFPV provides, and it uses a standard power connector. So actually this power pack would be compatible with my DIY OpenIPC goggles as well. And if you find a different power pack, it will be compatible with these goggles. But as you see, the plug is here. So when you want to pack the goggles to put them in your bag, it stops the antenna from folding. So every time you want to pack the goggles, you need to unplug it to be able to twist the antenna like this, which is a bit annoying. I would prefer if they put the plug here, because then it would not interfere with the folding antenna, but it's really just a small thing. Another thing I would do differently is this joystick. They decided to go with a 5-position joystick together with the back button. So, like, in the interface, in the UI, you can, like, go in 4 directions, in 2 dimensions, and then you confirm by pressing downwards. But then if you want to go back, you have this separate button to go back. And what I prefer is the layout they use in OpenIPC and RubyFPV, where, like, you use one direction to confirm, want to go back, and then you have sort of up and down. So you only navigate in 2 dimensions, but I think this is enough for the simple interface in goggles. So I don't really see the merit of doing this and then having an additional button. I think they could have done it in a simpler way. But overall, these goggles are good in my opinion. The only issue is the fit, and for me personally, it's a big issue. But like, it depends on the person, I guess, because I'm assuming that they did. I'm assuming that BetaFPV did try it on some people, and it must have worked, but not for me. Something I should also mention is that BetaFPV advertised these goggles as being wearable with glasses, and it does actually work. The shape does allow for wearing these goggles with glasses, and I think it works well. I think it's definitely true that you can wear these with glasses, but I mean, this is an upgrade from the VRO2, which you absolutely couldn't use glasses while wearing them. But for me personally, the VRO2 was comfortable to wear, and these goggles, I mean, they are not comfortable to wear for me. So I think BetaFPV, you really need to rethink this part. I mean, it's not a very big thing to redesign, because this entire thing, oh, you can see that my unit has some very bad adhesive here. So the way this is supposed to detach is with Velcro, but actually in my unit, Velcro is glued with a very bad quality adhesive, so it's not that easy to separate it without... oh, there is another one here which unglued itself. Yeah, so I think I'll just need to use some super glue, secure these Velcro straps here, and design some other alternative part for the foam, because I think the foam and this part is what make it uncomfortable, especially here. The goggles are pressing very strongly on my nose, and I think the way to fix it would be to add thicker foam here, and also add thicker foam here so that there are no light bleeds here. I think it's doable. I think it's possible to fix the issue with fit by just replacing this part. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it might be doable. So BetaFPV, if you're watching this, please check this foam design. Next time you try to design goggles, please check it on more people to make sure that everything fits. So I mean, I'm not saying this won't fit on everyone, because I'm assuming that it does fit on the people BetaFPV tried it on, but maybe a little more market research is needed to make goggles that have a more universal fit. So I would like to thank BetaFPV for sending me the parts to build this drone. It was very easy to build. I didn't even need a soldering iron to put it together. So I think in terms of how it's thought through, it's a very nice build. They also sent me these goggles to review. And if you're interested in buying any of these parts or the goggles, you can find the links in the video description. These are affiliate links, so if you decide to buy through these links, I will get a small commission. So if you're interested in supporting the channel and you're interested in buying these parts, please buy it through these links. Anyway, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.